So Fionn here has been struggling with his bench, so I'm going to coach him through it to give him a few tips and that on how to improve it, but rather than just tell him, I decided to make a video tutorial about it, showing me coach Fionn and how the steps I will take to improve his bench. So I haven't seen Fionn bench before now, so I'm just going to get him to set up as he normally would and see what we can do to help him out. Okay? Alright, so as you can see, Fionn is blessed with deadlift arms, so that's not going to help his bench, but let's see what we can do. Okay. Okay, and re-rack it. All right, so there's a couple of things we can pick up on there. First of all is his scapular position. Fionn's scapulae are level as he's bench pressing, so they're just flat like this. Okay. What we want him to do is to shorten the distance that he's moving the bar so he can lift more weight, and then B, put his back in a better position to press more weight. We want him to retract his scapulae. So if you can imagine, just your two scapulae there, and then retraction, pull them together like this, okay? All right, so that's the first thing. The second thing then would be the use of his legs. So as you can see, there's virtually no movement out of his legs when he's performing a bench. But if we can change that so that he's bringing his quads and his glutes into the movement as he's pressing up off his chest, that will help him lift more weight as well. Okay? And then the final thing then is the bar path. Fionn is pressing up in a vertical line, which is fine, but ideally, to reduce the moment arm at the shoulder joint, we want to be pressing back slightly towards the rack. Now it's not a massive amount, but just ever so slightly, so that it's more like a J as opposed to one straight line. Okay, so if you want, I'll just demonstrate those 3 points first, and then I'll get Fionn to do them. Okay, so it's okay to lie down on this, is it? Yeah. All right, so the first one was to pull the shoulder blades together. Now, the best way I find to pull the shoulder blades together is to actually use the bar, okay, and pull yourself to the bar, setting your shoulder blades in place, okay? All right, and you can compare that to here, all right? Just watch my chest, okay? All right, so that's the way he was doing it. And now, right, so you can see in version 1, the bar is traveling a greater distance. And the second thing as well is that my upper back isn't as tight, okay? Version 2, shorter distance, so with the potential to handle more weight. And then as well, I've contracted all my upper back muscles so that I can bring them into the movement more, all right? Now, the second thing was the legs. So ideally what we want is to transfer force from the lower body into the upper body, and then perform the movement. So ideally what we want is not to have our feet back in here, because the likelihood then is that if we go to contract our quads, for example, butt is just going to lift up off the bench. So what I'd recommend is have your feet out here and try to almost push the floor away from you. Okay? Right? So set up once more. Shoulder blades together. Take the bar out. Come down and push the floor away from you and then press up. Right? And there's a little bit of coordination involved there because you want to get the timing of the leg drive right before you start your press. Okay? If that's off slightly, it'll throw you off on the actual movement itself. Okay? So for example, if I was off with my timing and I was like it's not going to be as stable or as coordinated as it would be if I get them timed correctly. Right? Now, and then the final thing is the bar path. So instead of straight line, we want a slight J. Okay, so a very slight curve, right? Okay, so the way he was doing it was straight up like this. Right? And the way I want to change it is here, okay? So we start directly over the shoulders, come down. Depending on how wide your grip is, that'll dictate how low down you come, and then press and finish back over the shoulders again, okay? Right? If I had a wider grip, I'd just come down a bit higher on the chest, but the principles are the same, okay? Same then if I have a narrower grip. Okay, so we're going to try to implement those three things now, all right? So I've thrown a lot of information at you there now, so I just need to recap. So the first thing was shoulder blades. We're pulling those guys together. Then we take our bar out. We're starting directly over the shoulders. Then we come down, drive with the legs, pushing the floor away from you, and then pressing in a slight J curve. Does that all make sense to you? Okay. All right. Over to you. Hi, buddy. How are you doing?
Good, yourself?
Good. Okay. Push with the legs. Lovely. And one more. And re-wrap. How's that feel?
Yeah, much
more powerful?
intuitive, yeah, much more powerful with the legs.
More stable?
For sure, yeah.
Okay, lovely.